Well, Adam Elliott-Cooper is a research associate at King's College London. He joins me now. Adam, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thanks.
Let's start with the first tweet about, actually it was the second tweet about, in reaction to what Donald Trump said about Haiti, El Salvador and African nations. Do you think that the African Union is right to request an apology from the president?
I think there can be little doubts that what Donald Trump said was racist. The United Nations have openly called it racist, as well as a number of other heads of state. And I think we can understand it as racist when we think about the context in which this statement is being made. I think we can think about it in a few ways. The first is the most obvious one. Donald Trump has a history of saying racist things. We don't need to repeat the things he said about Mexicans and other people.
I just want to, why is it racist?
Why is it racist? So, racism is all about context, right? So if there is a possibility that you could say this about a range of African nations and it maybe not be racist. But I think in the context of Donald Trump, who has a history of saying racist things, has surrounded himself with the alt-right, who are known to reproduce racist ideas, and also is putting forward very racist policies in relation to immigration and other things like that. When we combine all of those things together, I think there can be little doubt that this is racist. And I think this is why the United Nations has called it that, and this is why so many other heads of state have called it that as well.
Can you understand why his base have come out in support of what he said? And can you appreciate that some people are saying, well, listen, Haiti, one of the poorest nations in the world, it's not the nicest place to be. Perhaps the words he used were incorrect, but this is someone who was voted in not as a politician, but as someone who says he speaks the truth as it is. Can you appreciate that it probably does appeal to his base?
I think it may well appeal to his base, but I imagine calling Mexicans rapists and criminals may well have appealed to his base as well. So to say that to say that his base is supporting him is probably consistent with the fact that they have continued supported his bigoted remarks over the last 2.5 years. Okay,
so do you think he should apologise to the AU?
I think it's highly unlikely that he will apologise, but I think it's important for people to challenge this kind of bigotry on every level.
Okay, let's turn to what he said about London, the embassy here. He said he wasn't going to come. This wasn't the state visit. He was just expected to come and open the new US embassy. I'll read this tweet to you. Reason I cancelled my trip to London is that I am not a big fan of the Obama administration, having sold perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London for peanuts, only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal. Wanted me to cut ribbon. No. Let's look at this on the face of it as that tweet. It's full of inaccuracies. Do you think he needs a fact checker?
Yes, I think he probably needs a fact checker if he's going to tell us what effectively I think are untruths. I think that they should at least be ones that are based in some kind of reality, right? So we know that the embassy was sold by the Bush administration, not by the Obama administration. We know that it was sold for an undisclosed sum, so it's difficult to know how much a rip-off it is. And of course, Vauxhall is not an out location or anything like that. It's a really important, vibrant part of Britain, of London, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's look at why he says that he's not coming. He says in this tweet that he's not coming because he's not a big fan of the Obama administration and they sold this embassy, which they didn't. Do you think this is about Donald Trump and his relationship with the Obama administration and Obama himself, or is it to do with the US and the UK and that relationship?
I think it has a great deal to do with the UK and the US and that relationship. There have been a number of kind of stumbles in the UK-US relationship recently. Probably most widely reported the retweeting of Britain First, which British diplomats challenged. We saw votes at the United Nations in relation to Jerusalem, with Britain and the United States disagreeing. And of course, we have the prospect of some of the largest protests probably since the invasion of Iraq, set to take place if an official visit does take place by Donald Trump.
Okay, let's talk about Iran. He's agreed to extending this nuclear deal, as it were. However, he has imposed some sanctions because of human rights abuses. If actions speak louder than words, do you think what he's done in relation to Iran and those the sanctions that he has imposed. Do you think that's a good thing?
I think that if Donald Trump really cared about human rights, there'll be some consistency in his approach to sanctions. There might be some sanctions on Saudi Arabia. There might be, given their bombing of Yemen. There might be some sanctions on the Philippines, and given the human rights abuses that are being committed there. And so there's not really a consistency, and I think it has more to do with power relations than it does to do with human rights interests, personally.
Okay. Adam, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.